So welcome to the OpenJ9 community call. Reminder to add your name and company affiliation to the attendees list in the minutes. I'm just going to jump through some of the stuff. We don't have a lightning talk scheduled for today. If anybody has a topic, please let myself or Dan know, or just add it to the minutes. I took a look at the user raised issues. It looks like they're all being handled. I looked at the Docker download trends, and they look like download trends. So if we get into our next release, 0.26, where we're going to ship Java 8, Java 11, Java 16 in April, I've put in some dates, code split on March 7th, and then we would start the M1, or we'd tag for M1 immediately after the code split. We'd have tags for M2 on April 5th, and then GA around April 23rd. The OpenJDK date is April 20th, but it takes a while for the OpenJDK content to show up and start our builds and make sure everything looks good. If anybody has objections to those dates or comments about those dates, please speak up. The release we're doing right now, 0.25, we've done our M1. We're looking at doing M2 this weekend, tagging for M2 this weekend. And then we'll do builds for March 16th. We could take a look at the milestone. So there are still a number of things in here which we'd like to see moved out. I think there's a few JIT issues that are still being resolved, but I'm not sure there's anybody on our call today that can talk about them. So we'll take that offline and either get some fixes in before the weekend or move the. So that takes us to CMake and mix builds. So we have enabled CMake for all our regular builds except for Windows 32. I think the PR testing was started last night, so I don't know how it went. Hopefully that will be delivered shortly. We'll make that the default. OS and cross compiles, I believe, are still work in progress. I'll ask Devin current status when we get to any other business. So note that we switched to mixed references builds as of Monday, late afternoon on Monday. We changed the default build type to be mixed references. So any build that happens where you don't have a configure option to switch to something else, you're going to get mixed references. So our nightly builds have been running mixed references for some time. Don't expect any problems due to mixed references. It's new to external sites, which might be doing builds. I've yet to see any report of any problems. So we'll see how that goes. Performance. Sharon, you were going to ask for Java 8 results. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, so I did follow up with the perf team. They are running them, but they don't have the results for that yet. And the perf tests done so far for 11 and the upcoming 8 are all for X Linux. But if there's a desire for any other platforms to be tested, I'll pass on as well.
Well, we do regular perf runs, so I expect if there's a problem, it's going to show up at some point, whether we request special runs or not.
Okay.
There was a note about Docker builds, so I opened an issue, the Docker repo. Does anybody else have any comments about mixed refs builds? We updated our build instructions. We've updated the documentation to have a release note about mixed refs. Don't know that there's anything else to be done at the moment. So that takes us to the adopt update. Do we have anyone on to give us an adopt update?
Yeah, I guess I'm on. I haven't updated the minutes here yet. A quick note about transition to Eclipse Foundation. All of the CQs for the Aquavit project have now been done. So that's 7 test repos. That's relevant to this project, to OpenJ9, because we use these same repos. So once those CQs kind of complete, lift up the new repositories and start to verify that everything is running as expected out of the new repositories. For the other 2 sub-projects, so Aquavit is the testing piece, and then Tamarin is the build piece. We haven't started the CQs for that, but I expect that'll start happening later this week. And I guess, sure, if there's other relevant stuff here, we have seen now that the switch over to mixed refs is now live, and I guess we're going through some of the daily triage now. Nothing from a quick glance, I don't see any dramatic problems. I guess the only thing that affected us yesterday was the functional test compilation issue, but that's known and it sounds like someone's working on that. So that's probably all I have.
Okay, I will note that pretty much every platform failed in the OpenJ9 builds last night due to out of space issues.
Oh, exciting.
So it would be interesting to find out if anything like that happened at adopt testing. They were all test builds, so some of them failed to get started. Some of them ran most or all of the testing and then failed for out of space. So I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, that seems weird. I haven't seen that, but I'll look more carefully.
Okay, thanks. It takes us to machines. Let's add them on. Yep.
Hey, no big update. Joe has a PR open for that Windows cleanup issue, and I had reviewed it. I think he has to update it still. And we did roll out the OpenSSL J to the Windows machines, so I believe that's complete now. Nothing else that I know of.
Yeah, so I guess the big thing today is going to be figuring out why all our test builds, or not all of the test builds, but a lot of the test builds fell over last night due to out of space issues.
That's unusual. I can have a look at it.
Yeah, I did open an issue. I guess I could paste it in here.
Okay.
Adam's test triage this morning. I didn't note anything of that at all. So
No, I haven't seen it either.
You have a note on the keyboard.
at Adopt last night, we ran JDK 11 and 17. Was it across all versions for you?
It seemed to happen across all versions. I don't know that I have every single job in here yet, but so I see 16, 8, lots of 8, 11.
So that's all AIX?
No,
okay.
it started.
Okay, yeah.
I just started on AIX and then
Yeah,
realized that there's some on Mac. There's what's this? Z Linux.
Yeah, I see others now there.
G Linux, Windows. Something that didn't happen on any worker that I could find. So I don't know if that's jobs running on master.
Yeah, we'll let you know if we see
I didn't
anything.
get a chance to go through the entire list yet, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other business, OpenJDK method handles? Is Bebney done? Yeah.
Hey, Peter, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I think we merged the remaining PRs to enable the CI builds and the PR builds. And I think we did run you did run a test build for us in the Eclipse CI, and we decided to run those builds internally within IBM since we have more resources.
So is this, can you see the stuff in yellow in the minutes? This is old, right?
I think the test failures may have been reduced by a few, but then some PRs to be open soon is complete. Those PRs have been merged and the builds can now be run. I can update it later.
Okay.
And in terms of functional issues, we are still working on that. And the JIT is also looking into performance. And this sums up the update for this week.
Thank you. So CMake. Devin, do you have any updates for the ZOS work and the Win32 work?
Yeah, I'm just gonna preface this with saying that my internet is cutting in and out, so if I suddenly disappear, that's what's going on. But the ZOS stuff, I'm still trying to push through some of those things. Those PRs, the review stuff is taking a little bit longer than expected. And then also I've started kind of taking a look at the cross compile stuff while I'm waiting on review bits.
Sounds good. Sorry, what was happening with Win32?
Win32, I need to double check, but it's either merged or like the last comment on it was fixed, I believe. I think if Keith is on the call, he can comment. I don't remember where exactly we left things with that.
Pretty sure I saw PR testing getting started last night.
Yeah.
You're talking about, sorry, I missed the question. You're talking about the Win32 CMake?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that for JDK, yeah, that got merged. The testing passed with
There was
the Linux stuff failed first time around, but it was just an infrastructure thing. But so it should be good now.
So there was an OMR change at one point having to do with the compiler. Did that ever get merged?
I don't think that one is merged, but I mean, we seem to be building without it. I'll probably get it in anyways, just for a little bit extra robustness. But yeah.
Okay, so now we can make Win32 the default for the default to CMake.
Yeah, it should be good.
Sounds good. Okay, the Helm chart and operator discussion. Is Marius on? Yeah.
Yes, I am. Okay, so Dan requested some clarification regarding the license. So basically, he wanted a distinction between the license for the chart itself and the license for the binaries that are installed through the chart. And Chris has addressed that comment, and I think that right now, as far as I know, Dan has to approve it officially, and it's done. So we are just one approval away. And regarding the blog post, I have made another pass over the blog that Chris wrote, and now it's with him to make the latest changes. And as soon as that happens, he will push it as a draft to the OpenJ9 blog site.
Sounds good. Thank you. Mike Cruchett, anything?
Nothing new. The meeting is scheduled for tomorrow.
Okay, does anyone have any other business?
I was gonna say it's for got all the mixed stuff and the CMake stuff delivered, can we start to clean up some of the build script stuff related to all those different specs?
I think I'd want to give it some time before we start deleting old stuff. I did change all the Open9 builds not to use _mixed for the platforms.
Okay.
So are you talking about like changing nightly builds to not run _mixed anymore?
Well, that too, but more just like cleaning up the code.
Yeah, I
So-
think we should.
So-
Everything looks good, but I think we should give it a little bit of time before we go and delete, just in case.
Yeah. So
We ought to at least keep the UMA specs so that we can make sure that that stuff doesn't rot because it's still used by internal builds.
Yeah.
does anybody run those builds?
So there's IBM builds that still use UMA.
Right, but we don't use in the OpenJ9 builds. We don't run the UMA specs anymore unless somebody requests it via PR.
Correct.
So what's the likelihood of that happening?
Low, but these things take time. There could be performance issues. Like I know when we switched to AIX, it took a couple of weeks for a performance issue to show up. So we want to give it some time in case any issues show up. Maybe we want to do an UMA build so we can compare it to the CMake build.
Okay.
So yes, we can delete the stuff, but maybe let's wait a month, let's say.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll close the call. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, bye.